Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano. Today is Monday, and I've got another whiskey review, or an in-depth whiskey review coming at you. We're looking at a Smokehead High Voltage. This was requested as a review multiple times by the same person. I think the comment was, review Smokehead High Voltage. Review Smokehead High Voltage. I think there was like 15 messages. That's an exaggeration. That said to review it. So if you're watching, here's the review. Just like always, we're going to pour it, nose it, taste it, talk about it. Not a lot to talk about. I'm going to add some water to it, and then I'm going to give it a score at the very end. Just a reminder, I do have a March giveaway happening. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, all of the rules to the March giveaway are in the description below. Smokehead High Voltage. Here are the stats. I'm actually kind of digging the packaging. It's not my demographic, but I think they're kind of hitting some other demographic other than myself. So we're looking at a peated, a non-age stated, highly peated, single malt Islay whiskey. It's coming in at 58% ABV. It's distilled and bottled in Scotland. Pretty sketchy information here. I shouldn't say sketchy, but there's not a lot of information about the bottle. It's bottled by Ian MacLeod Distilleries Limited. Doesn't say where the distillate's coming from, but all we do know is it's an Islay single malt scotch. It's a 750 milliliter bottle, and I paid $64.99. And I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, if you don't know. All right, as it is sitting in the glass, it is definitely peated, and I'm not getting Band-Aid and iodine, so I'm hopeful that this is going to be campfire smoke or even possibly savory smoked meat. So let's go ahead and get it on the nose, tell you what I think of it. All right, immediately, and this sounds very strange, I get a good grilled peaches and pineapple, very sweet, followed by smoke. Not necessarily peat, but definitely a charred log campfire smoke aroma coming out of the glass. I expected it to be very smoky or peaty first, followed by the nuances that you usually get behind peat. I'm pleasantly surprised that it's sweet first and then smoke. And I'm also pleasantly surprised that it's not a medicinal peated note, like the Band-Aid, iodine, and tar. So far, so good. Behind all of the other stuff, there's also a good amount of vanilla. Whenever I think of Islay or peated Islay scotches, I'm always thinking or trying to see if I can get salt or brine or like that seaside salty beach note. I don't think I'm really getting brine, but it could come across as a little bit salty. I'm probably going to know a little bit more once I get on the palate. Way back behind everything else, there's a little bit of a citrus note, like a little bit of a lemon citrus. And then on that swirl, now I'm getting pretty ashy, like ashtray remnants. Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Let's go ahead and get on the palate, see what I think. Holy cow, that is a blast of everything. I'm gonna need to take a second sip, but here's what I got up to this point. It's just the opposite on the palate than the nose. You get hit with a pretty good amount of peat first, and then immediately turns ashy smoke from a campfire. And then it hits the mid palate a little bit vegetal or herbal, earthy, a little bitter, a little drying. And then as it hits the back of the palate, that's where all of those fruit notes start to rise up. Grilled peaches, grilled pineapple, and a little touch of citrus. There is an unpleasant finish. Now that I'm sitting here talking, there's a little bit of an unpleasant finish that's turning like a bad ashtray leftover cigarette smoke or cigarette ash in the ashtray. Maybe, and that's where the dryness is coming from. It's like sucking the moisture off of my tongue. Minus the finish, it's pretty good. I mean, if you're looking for something that's pretty high proof and it is not leaning towards the Band-Aid and iodine peat type of things, I think it's on that higher spectrum of smoked meats and campfire. And there's definitely a smoky component to this and not a peated component. That was my first sip. There was a lot to get acclimated there. So let me get a second sip down and see if I can pull anything else out of it. I think that was a pretty good first sip. So let me get that second one in and concentrate a little bit more, see if I can get anything else out of it. Cheers, everybody. Second sip, it's more ashy. It's a little bit more drying. As I was breathing in before I took the sip, there was definitely a component, a sweet component of pineapple and peaches, grilled peaches and grilled pineapple. I love that note. Second sip, I want to say salty. So there is a little bit of a salty component. I wouldn't say briny, but there is a salt mineral note. A little bit of chocolate, a little bit of tobacco. But I'm telling you what, this is surprising me quite a bit. Other than the ashy ashtray cigarette ash part of it, I think this is a pretty good, well put together, vibrant, I wouldn't say vibrant, but it's an explosion of flavors. And I do like it that I can actually separate the individual components of it. Okay, just like always, I add water to it. So let me go ahead and add water to this. Let it sit for a little bit. I don't know how long it's going to sit because there's not a lot of information or history behind this bottle. And then I'm going to end up giving it a score. That wasn't a question. I'm going to give this a score. And then give you some updates about what's going on with me. If you watch some of the other videos, you know what's going on, but I just want to reaffirm and let people know what's going on just in case a couple of videos get skipped. All right, so what do we know about this bottle? Not a whole lot. It is a non-distiller producer or an independent bottler over in Scotland. Based on the information that I saw, this was established about 80 years ago by the name of William Maxwell Company. And then it's now the Ian MacLeod Limited. And other than that, that's pretty much it. If they are an independent bottler, they are getting their distillate or their whiskey from, in this case, they're getting it from a single malt Islay distillery. It's not disclosed, and we do know that it's a single malt from one single distillery, so this is not a blend. And I'm going to put a link to the distillery website in the description below, so if you're interested in figuring out other bottles that they have, and it looks like they have a ton of offerings. I see this on the shelf all the time, just kind of walked by it until the viewer mentioned a couple of times to do a review on it. And I'm happy that I did. I really do enjoy this up to this point. We're going to see how this does with the water. Hopefully that was enough time for it to do its thing. So let's get it on the palate one more time, or get it on the nose, get it on the palate, and then we'll give it a score. All right, so that amount of water collapsed the nose. There's only really pineapple coming through. It's a little bit proofy, so maybe that water separated the vapors or just me swirling it around a little bit. I got a little sting in the nose. Still citrus. The vanilla's there. I've lost the peat smoke, so it still has a pretty good nose. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. All right, absolutely not. I will not add water to this. It pushed everything to the outside, and all I'm getting on the palate is a dirty ashtray. A little bit of smoke. The spice is now elevated, and I didn't mention spice before because I really didn't get any spice out of it. And that's typically kind of what happens with me when I add water, not all the time, but when I add water to whiskey, it brings out a different spice component, and sometimes it can push that spice over the top. And I think the water that I added pushed that spice into an area that's not pleasant. I would say this is a moderately good single malt, peated Islay single malt without the water. Going forward, I definitely will not be drinking this with the water. Other than that, I'm pretty pleasantly surprised with it without the water. So let's go ahead and move on to the score. If you are new to this channel and you don't know what's going on, I rank everything out of 5 stars. This entire review is going to be looking at it without the water. I like what it's bringing, sweetness with the grilled peaches and the pineapple. I like the type of smoke that is in here with a little bit of a touch of peat, and it's important to distinguish the difference. There is a smoke and there is a peat note. They are both kind of separate here. And when I say the smoky note, I'm saying campfire smoke. And then the peat note is definitely not Band-Aid and iodine. It's actually moving over to the savory side of things with like the smoked meat. And I think that is where that vegetal or floral note might be coming from. And it's adding a little bit to it. On top of that, with the citrus, a little bit of chocolate and tobacco, all around a pretty good experience without the water. And you can't beat the price. What, $64.99? I can see where a whiskey enthusiast might get a little bit, upset or a little bit flustered with not having information about it. But all of that being put aside, I'm going to give this a 3.75. I like it. 3.75 I think sounds pretty fair based on what's in the glass without the water. Have you had Smokehead? Any variation of the Smokehead? Please let me know in the comments down below which one you've had. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you know any other additional information that you could add so the community can kind of read up and make a decision on whether or not they want to pick this up? And again, the March giveaway is happening, so read the rules for that giveaway in the description below. Before I sign off, just to let you know, I do have surgery on my back. I'm currently recovering from it, something that we just have to deal with in Arizona. Had a couple of suspect spots on my chest and on my back. They removed them all. Hopefully, by the time this video airs, I will have a better idea of whether or not they are coming back clean or if they need to be looked at a little bit further. Same thing I've been saying in the majority of the videos over the past 2 weeks or a week and a half. Do not skip your yearly skin exams. If you haven't been in a while, please schedule an appointment, get your skin checked out, and if there's anything suspect, get it taken care of. Better to catch something early and get it removed than keep it there and ignore it and have it turn into something like malignancy. That's where I'm going to leave it. So wherever you are at in your journey, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Yeah, I'm not going to add water to this at all. Too much smoke, too drying, too ashtray-y, too much tobacco. And the bitterness underneath the tongue just kind of increases. I'm going to drink it neat from this point forward.